Part 27. Good Man, He Has a Golden Finger. Author, Jonghu Buletinjian. Chapter 261. When netizens were shocked by the sudden appearance of hashtag, there was also an influx of information from the real world. Ye Hong was taken to the police station on Yongzhou Avenue and was well placed there. It could be said that the entire police force in Shangjing City had been mobilized to conduct follow-up investigations on the case of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. The police prepared food for Ye Hong, and after learning that Ye Hong had a small red statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva incarnated on his body, they even made a special room, set up a shrine, and put the small red statue in it. In the past, everyone may not really be afraid of ghosts and gods, but after seeing Yuziao in their police station, everyone really believed that there were ghosts in the world. But today, everyone who sees the shrine with their own eyes has an instant in their mind. Everything that happened to this god appeared. This is the reason why everyone believes in the existence of gods, because no one can stuff a memory into just anyone's mind. This is something that only gods can do. The people from the National Metaphysics team rushed over as quickly as possible. Lu Yunjie did not go to talk to Xie Tingzhou first, but went directly to the police station room to worship the Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother. On the way here, they had seen the news on the internet. In an instant, it was as if I was witnessing the birth of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. So after everyone came here, they immediately knelt down and kowtowed. The gods created by the so-called liars in the past are different from the real gods. Everyone can feel the most powerful power from the gods. After kneeling down and worshipping, Lu Yunjie took Yu Ziyufeng, Pan Haiming and others to find Xie Tingzhou, and found themselves in a quiet conference room again. The internet about the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva has begun to ferment. The police will soon handle the case about the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. They do not intend to suppress this matter. Comrade Xie, we are here this time to ask you, regarding the appearance of ghosts and gods, does this have anything to do with the birth of the Ghost King 39 years later? In corners that people don't know, tens of thousands of ghosts have been arranged, all of them ghosts of former martyrs. After all, most of the martyrs are ghosts who died between the ages of 20 and 50, so they are more likely to survive. In the human world, coupled with Xie Tingzhou's will-o'-the-wisp spell, these ghosts have become very powerful. Even during training, they have gradually begun to be assigned to garrison in various places. Yes, you can become a Buddha with just one thought, and become a demon with just one thought. Guanyin, the ghost mother, is originally a powerful ghost among evil. If Ye Hong died today, then what we see is not Guanyin Bodhisattva, but the four great ghost generals in the hands of the Ghost King. Okay, Team Leader Lu, sometimes people's hearts are much more terrifying than ghosts and gods. If no one does this, how can there be evil spirits? Becoming a god or a demon is all possible in a single thought. Lu Yunjie's expression became even more serious when he heard this. When he thought of such a powerful ghost and god, who could affect people's minds just by looking at him, how terrifying would it be if he became the ghost of the King of Ghosts? Today's events have passed. Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, has mercy on the world and will not hurt anyone anymore. However, since he has been born, he needs believers and offerings. I think the country can take this opportunity to make this matter public and prove the existence of Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother. If it comes to the end, the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva will protect us humans. This is a great opportunity to let everyone know that ghosts exist after death. So while Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, is informing all people of her existence, people should also prepare themselves. Lu Yunjie thought of the cases he had handled these days and the ghosts he had seen. It could be said that they were much more than the many fantasy novels he had read. This matter will be arranged from above. I believe Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, will definitely bless all the children. She is first the mother of humans, then the mother of ghosts, and finally the god who protects all minor children. She is truly everywhere. The special national metaphysics team came and went in a hurry. Xieting Zhou no longer cared about it. Human beings have to pay the price for any choice they make. He just played a certain role in this process appropriately. At the Yangzhou Avenue police station, the bones of Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, were brought back. After Ye Heng saw it in person, people want to be buried in peace, but gods must not. The National Metaphysics Special Team discussed with the above and planned to cast the bones into a statue and place it in their largest commercial plaza in Beijing for worship. This matter of course required Ye Heng's consent. After seeing his mother's bones with his own eyes and touching his mother's bones, Ye Heng agreed to the matter. He is willing to see mother's believers all over the world, and mother will protect all believers who kneel down to worship him. In addition, there is a new news that shocked everyone. Do you know what happened to the 4 people who bullied you before? Mao Kun looked at Ye Heng with a complicated expression and asked this question. Ye Heng was stunned and thought of the 4 people who couldn't speak. After examination by doctors from our police force, the 4 of them have no tongues and can only eat liquid food from now on. In addition, a toxin was found in their bodies. The result of the hospital's identification is that once they reach adulthood, this toxin will invade their bodies to their death. This is a poison that human beings cannot understand so far, and it is a punishment from the gods. It can be said that after knowing what these 4 people have done, it is difficult for even doctors to sympathize with them. Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, will not punish minors, but these people will become adults in a few months, and when they reach adulthood, it will be the day they die. And the rest of the time is just lingering, which is the result of angering the gods. Although the police may feel cruel, they understand that for gods, this is the lightest punishment for human beings. Ye Heng was very indifferent to this. As a person who was bullied, no one could understand what he felt when he was bullied and bullied. The so-called empathy in this world is false. For his mother to avenge him, Ye Heng didn't say much about the matter. There is neither the relief of having a great revenge, nor the joy of seeing an enemy dying. There is only peace, the peace of not caring about these things. In addition to the 4 of them, there were also their parents. The police went to find them, and their parents were crazy. Mao Kun was also really shocked. He didn't expect that Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, would use such a method of revenge. According to our police's hypnosis on these crazy people, we learned that the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva made them fall into dreams, becoming your identity over and over again, and being bullied by their biological children, again and again. It drove them crazy. Perhaps compared to the 4 children who have no tongues and will die soon, their parents are the most pitiful. But sometimes poor people must be hateful. Parents are the best teachers for children. If your child is vicious, but he is still a baby in your heart, then the price you pay for this child is justified. Ye Heng was surprised when he heard the news, but he still answered quickly. They should also empathize with what their children have done, and I believe they will forgive their children. The 2 teachers from the school who had not yet left felt horrified when they heard this. Let's talk about it. Everyone has dealt with Ye Heng's matter. Someone at the school told the teacher. As the head teacher, Lin Zeman personally found the students and their parents to mediate the matter. Naturally, he asked them to apologize to Ye Heng. But he didn't expect the parents to become even more arrogant after arriving at the school. Even an apology is condescending. Now that they heard that the 4 parents were driven crazy by what their children had done, the 2 of them were shocked and felt that all this was indeed retribution. The last thing is the most important thing. Du Yuhan has been arrested and brought to justice. All the evidence and information in this case are correct. He will be sentenced to life imprisonment. Perhaps the death penalty is still cheap for such a person. But, my apprentice did something. He took out his cell phone and handed it to Ye Heng. Then Ye Heng saw the picture on the phone. It was the police interrogation room. Xie Zhou placed the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva that he had pinched out of yellow paper in front of Du Yuhan. He knelt down uncontrollably, and then his face twisted. After kneeling down, he broke down in tears. Face full, struggling wildly. You have become a god, you have become a god, you have actually become a god. After sensing everything about the gods, Du Yuhan collapsed directly, and then wailed in pain on the ground, as if something terrible had happened to him. You can't tell from the video. My other two apprentices were at the scene at the time. After Du Yuhan knelt down to worship your mother, baby arms grew out of his mouth, ears, and eyes. They tortured him repeatedly but did not let him die. So this is also the reason why the higher UPS intend to sentence him to life imprisonment. Death penalty is salvation, living is pain. Ye Hung just glanced at it and didn't look any further. Yeah, I understand. This matter spread very quickly, and the news quickly spread on the internet. More and more people saw the information about Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, and it was only 24 hours later. When Ye Hung met his grandparents, whom he had never met before, there was no hugging and crying, no joy at meeting, they were all the same indifference. Later, when Ye Hung's grandparents saw the little portrait of their daughter, they broke down and cried bitterly. Stand up. The Shangjing police station quickly issued the latest information, the case of Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother. It explains the life of Guanyin Bodhisattva, and releases the appearance of the statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva in an official name for the first time. This deity will also become the first certified god in the world. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 262. This period of time is like a magical realism for all the people in China, because they not only confirmed the appearance of a god from the announcement information on the internet, but also in the daily news that people all over the country read. It actually told the birth and existence of this ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva for the first time. This is almost telling everyone directly that you can believe it. In fact, some contemporary young people do not believe in this or that, while others believe in this and that. In short, as long as it is a god that is good to them, everyone believes in it. There is a saying that goes, although I don't believe, I will worship the gods when I see them, just in case one of them is really useful. The saying that the end of science is metaphysics has never been made out of nothing, so many people told their families about this after seeing the birth of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva, especially young people with children at home, and quickly began to look for painters, printers, or engravers. In a word, pressure is given to you. You should quickly make the shrine and worship portraits of this ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. When there were still various places in Yuwu that had not officially produced these products, everyone had already collected the official images of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva and knelt down to worship every morning. Those who had extra mobile phones at home would put them on a high platform and kneel down to worship. It can be said that those who had underage children at home would work harder. After all, this ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva is very spiritual at first glance, and is dedicated to protecting children. There is no problem worshipping her. The country officially announced the existence of the Special Metaphysics Group. The first person to be publicly identified was Liu Yunjia, who had made great military achievements. This person, who was already a top general in the country, became a Special Metaphysics Group in the country at this time, and was specifically used to solve various things about gods and ghosts. While netizens were surprised, they did not say that they were very opposed. After all, through the evolution of society, there are too many things that cannot be explained by human science, and it seems that there is nothing wrong with accepting the existence of a ghost. After all, this ghost was not rewarded by anyone, nor was she a god of destiny. She was really a ghost that had been known by facts for a long time. The authorities officially announced the final situation. Those who killed the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva paid the price. Shangjing City will also build a huge statue of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva in the central square, and everyone can come to worship it. At first, everyone might have been joking, but in the days that followed, some people really got the protection of this god. After a young couple kneeled down to worship the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva at night, they were willing to believe in the god in order to protect their 8-year-old son. As a result, at night, they dreamed of this true god, or in other words, under the guidance of the true god, they actually entered their son's school. When they arrived at school, they actually found that their son's teacher was a pervert. He always wanted to do something to his son every time he asked his son to go to the office. No wonder the son has become more and more silent since he entered the 3rd grade. He didn't say anything when asked, which made the couple cry directly. The next morning, the couple saw their son getting up to go to school, hugged their son and cried, and called the police directly. After receiving the report, the police naturally had to verify it. As a result, the couple gave the result that it was the guidance of the true God. The police did not believe it at first. After all, although the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva made a lot of trouble, it was not certain whether it was true or false. As a result, when the police were questioning the 8-year-old boy, the child who had been silent all the time actually took the initiative to tell the police about the teacher's evil deeds. It was the Bodhisattva mother who asked me to tell you that the teacher is a bad person. He looked very beautiful, like a doll in a window. In fact, at such a young age, many children were molested and had no idea what happened. Moreover, at this age, people always think that girls need protection, but forget that boys have no ability to protect themselves. Their appearance is indistinguishable at this time. Even for some special groups, boys are more attractive than girls. When the police heard what the child said, they naturally had to investigate. They went to the school to arrest the suspect, but the police needed evidence to do things. There was no surveillance in the teacher's office, and no one saw what he did to the children. As a result, he received several calls later, with complicated expressions. It turned out that another parent had called the police. Several parents were reminded by the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva that their sons and daughters were almost killed. Although they were all simple molestation, they were terrifying enough for the children. The anger of the parents directly overwhelmed the teacher. These parents even rushed to the school and beat the teacher uncontrollably, and the whole school knew about it. The final outcome of this incident was naturally that there were witnesses and evidence, and the teacher was sent to prison. After this incident spread, everyone believed more in this God who protected children. Not only this kind of thing, there are also some strange cases that were originally unsolved cases, but after the intervention of this true God, there was a result all of a sudden. For example, a couple had a car accident and left a 13-year-old son. His parents had a house and property. Because he was not yet an adult, he naturally needed a guardian. The grandparents of this child kept fighting, and the uncles and uncles also fought for the ownership of the house, and never thought about the child at all. As a result, the ghost mother entered the dream and brought the couple who had just died into the child's dream, and asked the child to call the police in person. After the child called the police, he naturally used the requiem charm, and finally learned about the property arrangements of the dead couple from their mouths. The custody of the child eventually fell into the hands of a childless friend who had the best relationship with the couple. Moreover, with the watchful eyes of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva, no one dared to do anything to the child. In various cities, many cases involving minors have turned from simple cases at the beginning to metaphysical cases. The children who were bullied in school knelt devoutly, and finally the bullies also enjoyed the empathy. The children who were abused by their parents prayed sincerely, and finally the parents were punished by the ghost mother, and the custody of the children was deprived. The child who was deceived by his friends and almost stepped into the abyss was saved by the ghost mother and sent to the hands of the police comrades. The chain of baby trafficking cases was caught by the ghost mother, allowing the police to quickly take away the fruits of victory when they passed by. This is the true God. He protects all believers who believe in him and is everywhere in this world. A wave of crazy worship of God has swept across the country. Instead of candles and incense, they use the fruits and snacks that the ghost mother liked to eat when she was alive to worship. It is said that if the ghost mother really descends on their homes, the fruits, snacks, and meals offered to the ghost mother will lose their taste and taste like chewing wax. And because the ghost mother's favorite thing in her life was white roses, when everyone kneels to worship the shrine, fresh white roses are always placed on both sides of the shrine. Yechiang has no funeral. As a god, she does not need a human funeral. More than 4 months have passed in a blink of an eye. At the end of August, the statue of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva was officially completed in the largest commercial street in Shangjing City. This huge, more than 10 meters high statue is white, with Yechiang's face in the center, a red mole between the eyebrows, and many arms. The eyes on the arms are open, and the pupils are all golden. This statue, which should have made people feel terrified, made people want to kneel down and worship sincerely. Since it was officially landed, citizens have been kneeling down and worshipping. At her feet were all white roses sent by people spontaneously, surrounding her feet. Square cushions were placed around the statue, and people lined up to kneel down tacitly. The third floor of the commercial street next to it just happened to face the statue. Xietingzhou and Yeheng were both looking at this existence that was now full of divinity. Many people worship him. Xietingzhou spoke, thinking that compared to the ending in his memory, the ending of the ghost mother Guanyin was what it should have been. Yeheng stared at his mother for a long time, then lowered his head, holding the red statue given to him by his mother in his palm, and then he smiled, very gently. He finally saw that the people who hurt his mother were punished. Before his grandparents left, they asked Yeheng if he wanted to go there with them, but Yeheng refused. In addition, he had a special status and was protected by people above him, so the Ye family did not make things difficult in the end. Yeheng's grandparents are old. After seeing all this, they seemed to have lost all their energy. Yeheng could feel that they were going to die. But for his mother, the blood relationship in the world has ended, and he is not very close to her. Perhaps this is the best ending. Now Yeheng lives with Xietingzhou. He usually goes to school next to the police station. He has nothing else to do during the summer vacation. He found that he has a good ability to draw talismans. He helps draw talismans at the police station every day. Although it is a summer job, he is paid a lot of money. He has earned 30,000 yuan in the past 2 months. Anyway, it is completely no problem to support himself. The building that once caused his mother's death is now empty and has been purchased by the government. A huge ancestral hall will be built in the future to worship the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. Yeheng is not without money, and he has even been allocated a house. But Yeheng is still used to staying with Xietingzhou because he feels very safe. Guo Ran and Long Liun often come to eat together, and they basically do things together. Unconsciously, people began to accept the existence of ghosts, knowing that ghosts would still be around for a while after a person died. As long as they went to the police, they could make some explanations. In any case, there were fewer inheritance disputes. After all, corpses can't speak, but ghosts can. In the absence of a will, the ghost's direct words are the best will. The world is undergoing subtle changes, and the pain in the darkness is slowly growing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 263. Some things seem to happen invisibly. But in just 1 year, everyone has accepted that ghosts still exist after death. However, according to the official statement, because they cannot be reincarnated, Some people's ghosts after death it will dissipate in 7 days, and in some cases it takes between half a year and 5 years. Of course, there are also evil ghosts. If a person is tortured to death, he may become an evil ghost. This also leads to various criminal cases during this year. It started to decrease continuously, making people feel that they really didn't know what to say. After all, you don't believe that there are gods in this world, and you have no respect for anything, so you wantonly magnify your desires and kill people. You are not afraid of these things. But once you know that there are gods and ghosts in this world, if it exists, you will be afraid. Will the person you kill turn into a ghost and come to kill you? Human abilities may be oppressive when faced with people, but if people face ghosts, they have no choice but to be slaughtered. A lot of things happened in this year. The police station was very busy. There were some ghost murder cases in many places. In fact, it was a very simple kind. After a person was tortured and killed before death, he became a ghost and came back to take revenge. One of them even implicated a whole family and was directly wiped out. For the first time, the official did not hide these things, and reported them extensively, telling everyone that people will turn into ghosts after death. If you torture and kill other people, be careful when they turn into evil ghosts and come to torture and kill you. In this year, in addition to these ghost murder cases and ordinary cases involving ghosts, there are also many people who have been deceived, such as masters and Taoist priests. Anyway, many people have been deceived. Some of them were seeking money, some were seeking their lives, but in the end they were discovered by the police that they had been deceived. Nowadays, everyone knows that ghosts and gods do not need to burn incense to offer sacrifices, they only need to put fresh food and flowers to offer sacrifices. Every day, there are people under the statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, and some people even come all the way to Shangjing City, just to worship God. Most of these people are families who were saved by the reminder of the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. This ghost god equally protects all humans who worship her. Just like what Ye Heng said, he is everywhere and watching him at all times. Xie Tingzhou now has a shrine in his home. What is enshrined in this shrine is the red statue that Ye Heng's mother personally gave him. This statue is placed in the shrine. Every morning and evening, Ye Heng will give his mother the freshest food, flowers and food, and then kowtow and worship. He did not live on campus, but lived here. 1 year was enough for him to get along with all the policemen on Yangzhou Avenue. Everyone was very protective of Ye Heng. Even the procedures for going to school were handled by Director Wang himself. Therefore, Ye Heng was naturally not bullied in school. In 1 month, he would take the college entrance examination. By then, he wanted to apply for a local police academy and planned to become a police officer in the future. This idea made everyone in the police station very happy. Not only did no one stop them, but they also helped. Although Ye Heng's father is in jail, which means there is a problem with the family, the problem is that he has a godmother, and everyone is deeply affected by the ghost mother. With the blessing of Guanyin Bodhisattva, how could she dislike her son? The original plan was to wait for Ye Heng to grow up and arrange a simple job for Ye Heng based on Ye Heng's situation. Unexpectedly, Ye Heng was very capable at drawing talisman. Now he has time to draw talisman while he is in school. He went to the police academy, and he might be able to draw symbols when he comes out, but it doesn't seem to make any difference. After all, they would never dare to let Ye Heng go on any dangerous missions. Otherwise, what if the ghost mother gets angry and goes on a killing spree? How can ordinary humans resist gods? People will always remember that almost 20,000 people were buried with Ye Heng in that school. After kowtowing to his mother, Ye Heng just stood up and Xie Tingzhou came out of the house, already ready to go. I won't be back tonight. You go directly to your sister Long's house for dinner. I have already said hello to my aunt Xie Tingzhou is always going out to eat. Neither of the two grown men likes to cook by themselves. Yehung occasionally cooks for himself, and he also wants to work hard, but he really doesn't have the talent. The cooking is terrible, and he was even ridiculed by Guo Ran. Well, brother Tingzhou, do you have a big task today? Things in the police station are very complicated and busy. In addition, Xie Tingzhou, Long Liuyun, and Guo Ran were all promoted during the Chinese New Year last year, so they are even busier. Now only Xie Tingzhou remains in the police station on Yangzhou Avenue, and Long Liuyun, after going to the Criminal Investigation Detachment and now being the squad leader, Guo Ran was miserable and went to the anti-pornography team. Hey, every time I talk about this, Guo Ran will cry miserably. Well, there are some things. Jin may have to deal with an anti-pornography case with your brother Guo Ran. It's quite troublesome and I can't come back. Xie Tingzhou nodded. It was morning now. Naturally, the two of them had not eaten. After going downstairs together, they bought something to eat at the breakfast shop downstairs. The school is very close to here. It takes about 10 minutes to walk. Yehung he waved to Xie Tingzhou and left. And Xie Tingzhou also went to the police station where he worked. In fact, Xie Tingzhou also came up with some other things this year. Although his salary increased to 10,000, it was still a lot of extra money. For example, after everyone knows that ghosts exist, some ghosts of humans who died normally will disappear in about 7 to 10 days. But if it is the kind of accidental death, not only will the ghosts not be easy to dissipate, but they may even be unfinished. The obsession has always existed, so the officials are very busy in order to arrange for these people, and have established a new agency, which is specifically responsible for the employment of ghosts. For example, if a couple had a car accident and they were worried about the elder and the younger, the state would arrange for these ghosts to do what they could according to their original education and abilities. The police station has arranged a lot. The anti-pornography team used to watch all kinds of videos with the naked eye, but now that there are these ghosts, the work intensity has become a bit more intense. Not only the anti-pornography team, but also some network departments also need these ghosts to be auditors. Those involved in pornography and all kinds of things that should not be involved need to be reviewed. When Xie Tingzhou arrived at the police station, he saw Yu Xiao jumping over. She now follows the police on missions because she is an evil ghost and has strong abilities. She has subdued many evil ghosts this year. According to Xie Tingzhou's arrangements were all placed in the alchemy furnace, and some of the magic boosting elixirs that came out made Yu Xiao very powerful now. Don't look at how cute she is jumping around all day now. In fact, if this hair were spread out, the entire Shangjing city would probably be Yu Xiao's ghost land. Brother Xie, brother Guo is already here and is waiting for you inside. There seems to be something big going on. After Yu Xiao finished speaking, Xie Tingzhou nodded, and then walked towards his office. After entering, he saw Guo Ran sitting there. Guo Ran was smoking and his face was ugly. What are you doing? Smoking in the police station? Don't you want to live anymore? He went straight over and stubbed out Guo Ran's cigarette. Guo Ran's face was really ugly. He said after seeing Xie Tingzhou. We have received many cases recently and have now handed them over to the Criminal Investigation Detachment. Even the National Metaphysics team has intervened in the investigation, but nothing has been investigated. Guo Ran's hair was almost turning gray in the past half-month, so he directly picked up the file bag, opened it and handed the photos in it to Xie Tingzhou. I have already made a report to the superiors, saying that this case is evil and I want you to take a look at it. Take a look at the report approved by the National Metaphysics Special Team. Several high-profile people have died in our Shangjing city recently. Originally, I want to hide it, but who knows that things are happening everywhere. I can't suppress it even if I want to, and I can't investigate the situation, so I'm afraid there is something behind it. Xie Tingzhou received this information and saw the photo above, which looked like a mummy that had been drained of blood. However, just by looking at it, Xieting Zhou understood that this thing had not been drained of blood, but drained of yang energy. There is a saying that women are yin and men are yang. The harmony of yin and yang is the way of heaven. But the man in this photo was drained of his yang energy by ghosts, so his whole body became a mummy. After looking at several pictures in succession, there were all kinds of people, all of them men, and the names below made Xieting Zhou raise his eyebrows, because these people were not ordinary people. Some people can be seen in the news, some are in the entertainment industry, and some are in the cultural circle. Looking at these photos, there was a pile of them. Xieting Zhou asked. There are so many cases? Are you investigating now? Guo Ran, who was asked, sneered. If people hadn't been killed all the time, would this matter have lasted forever? Do you believe it? Mater. What have these idiots done? Guo Ran went to the anti-pornography team and didn't talk much anymore, but he became a little irritable and saw too much darkness. For a person with a relatively lively personality, it was like he had experienced a blow. He often curses people now. He didn't smoke before and now he smokes and drinks. The environment can always change a person inadvertently. Xieting Zhou knew what Guo Ran was scolding. It was just that these people had different identities and could not be investigated in a big way. Even when they found out that these people were dead at the beginning, they did not dare to conduct an in-depth investigation. As a result, more and more people died later. Now I couldn't hold it back, so I sent it to him. He also asked an acquaintance to come over just to make Xieting Zhou not angry. In response, Xieting Zhou also sneered and directly gave the answer to the death of these people. These people all died of prostitution, right? He gave the answer affirmatively, but Guo Ran was stunned for a moment and looked at Xieting Zhou, knowing that his brother knew more than them. Xieting Zhou knew who was committing the crime, but for the first time, he didn't want to care about such things. Do you know the clavicle bodhisattva? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 264. Clavicle bodhisattva. Guo Ran looked confused. He really didn't know about this thing, but in fact he was frightened by the word bodhisattva. The last time this name appeared was a year ago. At that time, Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, almost killed nearly 20,000 people. So now people are in awe and fear of ghosts and gods. Some people will be ecstatic because of the existence of ghosts, and some people will have sleepless nights because of the existence of ghosts. It can be said that the domestic public security system has been extremely busy during this year. In the past, it only dealt with human affairs, but now it also has to deal with ghost matters. After all, if they, as public officials, do not deal with it, the ghosts will take revenge on their own. There's no point in mopping up anymore. A lot of big things happened this year. Some officials died mysteriously, and ghosts complained. Anyway, those who stayed were innocent. It was only after such deaths occurred recently that everyone discovered that even some people don't harm others, but the things they do are still looked down upon. No wonder these cases were suppressed at first. A good employee was killed by a ghost for soliciting prostitution? Does this sound like to you? What will you say if it is made public? How to explain to the people? The information in Guo Ran's hands was still a small part. There were suppressed cases in various cities. Now that he could no longer suppress them, he thought of asking Xieting Zhou to come forward. Xieting Zhou alone had dozens of these pieces of information. But since this case can be handed over to him, how can the number be dozens? I'm afraid it's dozens of times more likely. Yes, collarbone bodhisattva. Xieting Zhou didn't know if he should call the other person that, but he had seen that person's appearance in his memory, and it was his true beauty that made people fascinated. It was recorded in Taiping Guangji of the Song dynasty that there was a woman in Yanzhou, about 24 years old, with fair skin, who walked around the city alone. People rushed to play with her and be intimate with her. She never refused, and the guests who entered the curtain did not know Fanji. After she died a few years later, those who had been intimate with her buried her bones on the roadside. A monk from the western regions came from the western regions. When he saw the dry grave on the roadside, he knelt down and worshipped her, saying clavicle Buddha. These so-called legends may have been fabricated by predecessors, but they are just right for use here. Xie Zhou thought of that person, no, that ghost, or he thought of the colorful flowers and reds, the fragrance was gone, and the garden was full of withered graves filled with sadness. The monk said that there was a saint who showed mercy to others and obeyed all worldly wishes. He was the clavicle Bodhisattva. After hearing this, everyone followed the monk's instructions and dug up the tomb. They saw that the bones of the clavicle Bodhisattva were all like locks. Stupa Memorial. Slowly telling about the records of the ancients, but the records of today's people no longer exist. After Xie Zhou finished speaking, he placed the photo in his hand on the table. Tell team leader Lu that I can't solve this case and I can't help. The most evil of all is sexual immorality. These people die of their own desires, which is just the law of heaven. Guo Ran was a little embarrassed. He didn't expect his brother to know the reason why he came. He didn't know what to say for a moment. He also felt that these people died more than deserved, but the key is that too many died. The total number of cases that have come out has reached thousands. How to say it? The reason why this case has not been exposed is because the family members also feel embarrassed. After all, good people died dirty. After seeing the body, many family members did not want to open a case for investigation, but immediately wanted to cover up the case. The house was ugly, so the police didn't notice it. Think about it, ordinary people are like this, let alone those with special status. Therefore, for the sake of their reputation after death, these causes of death cannot be exposed. However, except for Shangjing City, the death toll in various provinces is increasing crazily, and they have no choice. Tingzhou, I know they may deserve to die in your eyes, but the reason why we investigated this case is because too many people died. After cooperating with the Criminal Investigation Brigade in the investigation, in 2 months, Shangjing City the number of mummified deaths has exceeded 2,000 people. We also inquired with the police in various places and found that the number of deaths in almost every city has increased on average since 2 months ago. When there are more than 1,000 people, this adds up. The age range of the deceased was very large, from teenage boys to old men in their 70s and 80s, as well as some wealthy women. It is not that the deceased were only men, but they had the same identity, that is, clients of prostitutes. We also know that these people are breaking the law, but this directly costs lives. We have to investigate, otherwise people will continue to die. Guo Ran was also angry. He really didn't understand why there was such a thing in society. Nowadays, it is like a fig leaf. It has been covered up. When it can no longer be covered up, it can only be released and wants to solve it for others. Is this possible? I know people will continue to die, but I can't help. It's not that I don't want to help, it's just that I can't do anything. Xie Zhou thought that the ghost was called the pornographic ghost Bodhisattva, and there were groups of pornographic ghosts under his hands. Such ghosts were extremely vindictive in their evil deeds. What they hated was men, and what they hated was spending money to exploit them. People. So it is normal for no ordinary people to die now, because they are very targeted and usually only target that kind of clients. If you are unfortunate enough to be tricked, then you are unlucky. Who asked you to go out for prostitution? Guo Ran scratched his head and didn't know what to say. After all, nearly 100,000 people have died in the country because of this. But each region is relatively scattered, and the death is not dignified, so no one talks about it. The news it's not much, but if it continues like this, It's simply unthinkable. Then I'll inform team leader Lu that this person has encountered a ghost. It's not something we can save if we want to. He also didn't realize that one person could easily deal with a powerful ghost, like the ghost mother Guanyin, who was not as powerful as a god. How could they, ordinary people, deal with it? Besides, those people know the law and break the law. They know that sex is against the law, but they still don't control themselves. Isn't this asking for trouble? Now they are paying the price for their actions, which is just karma. Guo Ran, you have handled many cases this year, right? Have you seen a lot of ghosts? Xieting Zhou asked suddenly, leaving Guo Ran stunned. Ah, there are quite a few. Now ordinary people can accept the existence of ghosts. Humans have committed fewer crimes, which is good. But ghosts are easy to commit crimes now and kill people at every turn. Before, a village in other provinces was destroyed. It's like a village where women were kidnapped and trafficked. No one is alive, they are all dead, even their souls are gone. Guo Ran said that as a policeman, he is naturally not afraid of any ghosts and even sympathizes with these ghosts, but he must adhere to his own legal principles and will still be shocked when he hears this. Then among the evil ghosts you see, are there more male ghosts or female ghosts? Xieting Zhou asked again, and Guo Ran responded. There are many female ghosts. Otherwise, why do all kinds of novels and strange gods always turn women into evil ghosts, while some descriptions of male ghosts have been certified by civil servants in the underworld? What about black and white, what about Zhongkui, what about door gods? There is a lot of oppression for the weak in this world. Men are physically stronger than women. Therefore, women and children are killed in many criminal cases. Why are there no men of the same size killed? The so-called evil ghosts who can stay in the world are all those who suffered during their lifetimes. Endless pain has created its body as a fierce ghost, so when a woman suffers, the female ghost will naturally be strong. Under the command of the Ghost King, 3 of the 4 Ghost Kings are women, and only one man is also a good-looking woman. The ghost I attacked this time is my old friend. You can call it the gorgeous ghost Bodhisattva. He suffered physical bullying during his lifetime and was insulted by his clients one by one. So after his death, he cultivated into the gorgeous ghost Bodhisattva. All the ghosts in his hands are those people in the mortal world suffered and died, so I can't stop him. If he wants to kill all the prostitutes in the world, how can I stop him? At this moment, Guo Ran understood the reason why Xieting Zhou said that he had no control over this case. Even if Xieting Zhou confronted the voluptuous ghost Bodhisattva and really subdued him, there were still thousands of voluptuous ghosts, so how could he subdue him? You tell Team Leader Lu about this. Team Leader Lu knows what to do. The world is not black and white. Between black and white, there is always gray. What's more, even where the sun shines, darkness will grow. The best way is to put the outcome of darkness in front of everyone. Let them know, let them be alert, let them exercise restraint. You want to catch all the victims, is this possible? There will always be victims being persecuted, otherwise why would the police department set up an anti-pornography team? Guo Ran has been in the anti-pornography team for some time. He has seen many young girls who were deceived at first, but ended up getting stuck in the quagmire and unable to leave, because pornography is often associated with drugs and violence. Okay, I'm going. He said nothing more, compiled the information and left, and then went to see Lu Yunjia. Since the National Metaphysics Special Group was officially established and made public, it has also received a lot of information from the people. This time, a nationwide investigation was conducted and it was found that the number of mummies cases was about to exceed 100,000, so they came to seek help from Xieting Zhou. But he didn't expect that Xieting Zhou would actually refuse to subdue the evil ghost, even though he had killed so many people. But then the entire metaphysics team heard Guo Ran's words, and they also understood that although Xietingzhou could not help them subdue the evil ghost, he gave them a clear path. If you want to avoid death, you must have no prostitutes. In other words, if this person does not engage in prostitution, there will be no deaths. Whether to continue to let the darkness breed death, or to expose the rotting bones to the sun. This is a puzzle for everyone. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletinjian. Chapter 265. It can be said that the ready-made answer is placed in front of you, and you can just ask whether you want to copy it or not. Lu Yunjia reported this matter. The speed of their police crackdown on pornography must not be as fast as the increase in the number of deaths. Moreover, some people did not call the police at all after their deaths, and directly issued death notices and buried them. Therefore, now Lu Yunjia and the others have in their hands the data is only a small part. In the dark side of this society, there must be more dead bodies. It is said that the word sex is like a knife on the head, but now this knife has truly become a powerful knife, piercing the hearts of these people, and the decision above is how to face this matter. If no policies are introduced, some people will still break the law and continue to challenge the bottom line of the law, and finally play with their own lives. But now they not only have to face the law, but also threats to their lives. The country naturally wants to protect these people. No one knows how many people like this like going out for prostitution. The National Metaphysics Special Group began to meet. Guo Ran was among them because he knew more. Seeing the various so-called experts saying this and that, Guo Ran scoffed. Can you die if you don't go out for whoring? Or would you rather die than go whoring? This case will give you the answer directly. As long as you don't go for whoring, no one will die. After so many years of hard work by our anti-pornography team, it is actually very small in this industry. Because there are huge benefits in it, just like poison, you know it will kill people, but they will not die in a short time, and you will get a supreme chopstick feeling. This is the instinct of many people to pursue poison, and it is made businessmen of such things think that they can make money quickly, otherwise why are so many young girls deceived into this business? Guo Ran's words could be said to be extremely vicious, and then he added. Businessmen only care about profits, but what we want is to protect life, so the best way is to tell everyone that you will die if you go to whoring. Once the profits are no longer profits, but become poison, then this industry will naturally be impossible. If ghosts exist, they won't kill people. You people just think too much. Why do you still want to plot against a beautiful ghost bodhisattva? Mentioning this ghost, Guo Ran directly reminded everyone present. The statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, is still placed on our central avenue. This voluptuous ghost bodhisattva is not a god yet. If we don't take action, if it really becomes a demon, who do you think can beat it? The dead will be dead by then. If they didn't die one by one, they would probably die in one city. If those men secretly went to prostitutes behind the back of their families, what wrong did those poor women do to be held responsible for their actions? This is Guo Ran's warning. Guo Ran is warning these humans that they are not facing the same human beings, but the ghosts they encounter. So do you still want to fight the ghosts? Over the past year or so, the country has determined that many temples, monasteries, and the like are fake. The ghosts that Xietingzhou can see cannot be seen in these places where money is collected all day long. He only has a certain talent in drawing talismans, so the above have suppressed this kind of place. It can be said that the only human being who has the ability to fight against the Yangui Bodhisattva is Xietingzhou. Xietingzhou said not to take action, so who can beat him? In the end, the outcome of this meeting was naturally obvious. On May 1st, just when everyone was on Labor Day holiday, the official metaphysics special team in the online media released the latest news, announcing the existence of the enchanted ghost bodhisattva. This time the action was very crazy, and all those who participated in it were the names, ages, and home addresses of the men and women who visited prostitutes were listed. Not only did this organization release these death lists, but even various provinces and cities forwarded the lists belonging to their provinces, and then warned all living people that those who engage in prostitution will die. Not only that, some mummies were even secretly circulated on the internet, which really shocked many people. Netizens have known about the existence of ghosts for a long time, but they did not expect that there could be such a destructive ghost. However, after the incident came out, they looked happy. After all, it is best to completely eliminate this kind of thing that cannot be done under the sun. Good guy, now that prostitutes are dead, no one will go out to prostitute. If an industry cannot create profits, then the final result will naturally be decline. Then many beautiful little girls will not be deceived into betraying themselves. This huge list of deaths is enough to shock everyone. Of course, if you are still not afraid of death, you can give it a try. The evening news even broadcast this incident that night, reminding everyone not to commit illegal acts, and that the state will protect and help women who have lost their feet. Those in need of help are asked to come to the police station to report the case, etc. The National Anti-Pornography Team will also further investigate. Various provinces are conducting further efforts to combat pornography and evil. As soon as the news came out, crazy actions began in various places. It can be said that all kinds of shops with strange names were destroyed in every place, but many women who had fallen into trouble were actually saved. After the information was released in May, the number of mummy death cases across the country suddenly decreased a lot from May to June, but there were still more than 1,000 deaths nationwide. This time the police did not save face for these people. This time, let alone your name, age, and home address, this time they directly took your photo and posted it on the internet for publicity, and then posted it under your community with a red banner. Let everyone know that so and so on which floor and in which household in this community was killed by a pornographic ghost. Let me ask you if it is a shame. Everyone knows about the existence of ghosts these days, so for those sudden cases of family annihilation, everyone can quickly see the results from the police. Many people who have not done bad things are relatively calm, while those who have done bad things probably can't even sleep. And now, if someone in a family is killed by a ghost because of prostitution, it is simply a shame to the ancestors. After some men died, their families knew that they were killed by ghosts, and they didn't even want their sons. What could be more shameful than this? And the poor wives of men at home, when they thought that this matter would be publicized and known to everyone, they would just run away with their children, or they would really go crazy, and the weird eyes of the people around them could drive you to death. After all, the country has said that it is not a good place, you can't go there, people will die if you go there, and you will be publicized after you die. As a result, you disobeyed and went there, and died in the hands of ghosts. If you don't lose face, who will lose face? In the blink of an eye, it was June. Yehung had the most important college entrance examination in his life. On the day of the college entrance examination, Sietingjo, Guo Ran, Long Liun and even the people in the police station had agreed to send him, but they received various reports on the way, such as the admission ticket was sent home, and the house was locked. Anyway, as long as it is the time of the college entrance examination, you will see all kinds of strange things. Yehung was finally sent to the examination room by Sietingjo. It was quite hot outside. Sietingjo drove over. There was mineral water in the back, so that any child could drink it if they were thirsty. However, every parent hoped that their children would do well in the exam. When they went in the morning, Sietingjo used the pliers he brought in the car many times. There should be no metal objects in the examination room, and most of these pliers were used to clamp the children's pants. After 2 days of hurried exams, the people in the police station relaxed. When the children were on vacation, Yehung didn't pay attention to how much he had taken the exam, and he also came to the police station to help. This summer vacation has been busy from June to September before Yehung started school. All kinds of special clubs and other places across the country have been really caught by the police. After all, some people go to these places to buy happiness, but now they want your life. Do you still dare to go? When an industry cannot bring money, it will naturally be eliminated by the society. The police approved a lot of money. Xieting Zhou also made a lot of evil ghosts into pills and exchanged them for money. He asked the government to help him build a clothing factory. The clothes are the kind that are specially burned for ghosts. The country is also very hard to re-employ these fallen women. Xieting Zhou alone took out 4 billion. For these ghosts, the government even made a soul app, which is something specifically for ghosts. Ghosts can leave messages to the police on it, and they can also buy some things that are dedicated to worshipping themselves, such as food and clothes. It is worth mentioning that after there is no reincarnation channel, they no longer use paper money. Now many ghosts come to work for the country and earn money through various jobs to enjoy themselves. As for those who don't want to work, they float in various places in this world. Anyway, they can't meet people or be seen by people. It's good that they don't feel lonely. As for some ordinary ghosts, if they encounter some evil ghosts and are swallowed up, it's all irrelevant to the country. The country only cares about the ghosts with a system. In September, Yehung went to college, which is the local police school. After sending Yehung there, Xieting Zhou returned to the police station and heard that someone was looking for him. There was some ambiguity between his expressions. When Xieting Zhou came out of the hall, he saw the long-haired man standing there. The man had long black hair like a waterfall, and an extremely delicate face that people dare not forget after seeing it. A pair of peach blossom eyes looked at him with a smile, and a simple white V-neck sweater on his body revealed a beautiful collarbone. "Hello, Officer Xie." He smiled at Xieting Zhou, but there was a kind of beauty that made people infatuated, full of the urge to kiss him, and Xieting Zhou saw the real him through his skin. "Come in with me." Still with the same expression, Xieting Zhou invited the other party to his office, and the man and the ghost went to Xieting Zhou's office. When they got inside, the long-haired man sat casually on Xieting Zhou's chair, swaying with a bit of frivolous ambiguity, hooking the long hair in front of his chest with 2 fingers, looking at Xieting Zhou with angry eyes. "Officer Xie, you have heard a saying, this is like killing a person's parents. I have a good life, and I have never hurt a good person, but you just cut off my yang qi, so I can only come to ask you, you don't let me absorb yang qi, are you going to give it to others in person?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 266. The person who came to Yongzhou Avenue brazenly was none other than the legendary gorgeous ghost Bodhisattva. He was not the soul-sucking female ghost as people had speculated, but a charming man. Yes, that's right, the beauty in this rumor is not a woman, but a man. Xieting Zhou looked at the charming man in front of him and recalled what many people had said about this man in his memory. The beautiful ghost Bodhisattva Huachong. When Huachong was still a human, his name was Huachong, and he was a pet. He was born in an orphanage. Because of his good looks, he naturally fell into the hands of some impure people. He received a chaotic education since he was a child. In addition, he was good-looking and had a kind of androgynous beauty, so he ended up walking around many people, being sent around like gifts and pets. Many people think that rich people are glamorous, but under such glamour, there are extremely dirty desires. After being eroded by money, whether they are men or women, ordinary happiness can no longer satisfy them, so they are like flowers. People like Chong came into being. Hua Chong has no parents to protect him, and everyone around him takes advantage of him. People covet his beauty, and then hate his sincerity, like his skin, but ridicule his filth. From the age of 8 to the age of 18, Huachong died. His death was unknown, but his death was extremely painful. Huachong was tortured to death, so he became a ghost. In addition, too many people died in that group, so after Huachong turned into a ghost, he naturally swallowed up those lonely ghosts, and finally transformed into a ghost step by step. Became the current Yangui Bodhisattva. The people who had harmed Huachong had been killed by Huachong long ago. He is alive now, but he is just helping some ghosts like him to avenge him with good intentions. Love is a sin, sex is a sin, beauty is a sin, weakness is a sin. In such a world where the jungle prevails, a flower that blooms too brightly without an owner is a sin. Flowers growing in the garden are naturally different from flowers in the wild. Xie Zhou looked at the ghost in front of him with calm eyes. He was not tempted or bewitched. And such a beautiful ghost bodhisattva, just appearing in front of people, is enough to make them fascinated. Everything you eat is ghost, so how can you lack yang qi? Xie Zhou did not tell the police that those who died had their yang qi drained out. In fact, their souls were also drained away. Those sexy ghosts below relied on yang qi to practice. When they came to Huachong, they practiced by devouring their souls. He has escaped from those low-level ghosts. But if they don't eat, some poor people below them still need to eat. The long-haired man smiled, and his peach blossom eyes were extremely moving. Huachong was indeed beautiful, the kind of beauty that transcended men and women. It made people want to destroy him when they saw him. This is the evil element in human genes. There is a scientific term called cute aggression, because when you see something too beautiful and cannot get it, you will want to destroy the other person. Huachong, there will be no good end for a ghost who is too greedy. You already have a human life on your body, and there is no way out. Do you want the poor people under your control to be like you? Xie Zhou sympathized with Huachong, but he knew that Huachong did not need anyone to save him. He was an evil ghost and had already given birth to an evil ghost with the appearance of Dharma. Huachong looked at Xie Zhou's pure and stoic look, and suddenly felt bored. He stopped acting like before. His peach blossom eyes no longer had the warmth they had before. Instead, they looked a little colder. His eyes turned red, which made people see. Then I will just feel scared. Officer Xie, if I had been born so many years later and met you, none of this would have happened. But, I couldn't meet Officer Xie, and now I have become the evil leader. I came here today just to ask a question. Ask Officer Xie, why did you let us go? For more than a year, Huachong, as a ghost, can naturally feel the changes in the world. However, the rapid changes made by the country, the birth of the yin-yang talisman and the requiem talisman, and the appearance of many ghost soldiers, Huachong knew that even as ghosts, they couldn't run amok, otherwise these well-trained ghosts would kill people. After the naughty ghost under Huachong's name did something, no one came to find him. This made Huachong a little curious. After some inquiries, he found out about Xie Zhou's situation. It turns out that this person in the small police station turned out to be a big shot, creating the ghost mother Guanyin Bodhisattva. Before Huachong came, he personally went to worship Guanyin Bodhisattva, the ghost mother, and then learned about the afterlife from the other person's mouth. He didn't believe this, so he came here. Everything has a cause and effect. Your cause comes first, and then their effect. Why should I care? Xie Zhou really doesn't want to care about Huachong's affairs. The cause and effect created by human beings, ghosts have done the cause and effect. This is the nature of heaven and earth. If you don't want to be harmed, then don't do bad things. Ha 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 ha. Everything has a cause and effect, Huachong laughed, and the sharp laughter resounded throughout the room. After a while, he suddenly fell in love with this expert even more. The ghost mother Bodhisattva said you wanted to ferry her over. Today when you and I met, the police said that you called me the Yangui Bodhisattva, but you also wanted to ferry me over. It's quite funny when I think about how I was called Bodhisattva by others now. The person who can save you is yourself, Hua Chong. You have good intentions in your heart, so you don't need me to save you. If Hua Chong was really an unforgivable sinner, Xie Tingzhou would have made a move long ago. How could he keep him alive until now? Looking at the ghost in front of him, Xie Tingzhou handed over a bottle of elixir he had previously practiced in the alchemy furnace. The elixir inside is made by the evil ghost's magic power. After eating it, the ghost's power will greatly increase. When I see it today, I will give this thing to the destined person. Hua Chong inquired about Xie Tingzhou, and naturally knew that the police had arrested those evil spirits and handed them to Xie Tingzhou to refine in an alchemy furnace. It is said that they can refine medicine that can extend people's lives. Of course, there are also medicines that can increase the magic power of evil spirits. It is said that only Yu Xiao in the police station has taken the elixir. He stretched out his hand, and his white fingers were like cold jade, touching Xie Tingzhou. Then I accepted the gift that Officer Xie gave me. I heard that there is a bad guy working as a police officer in the police station on Yangzhou Avenue. I wonder if I will have the opportunity to come here and be a colleague with Officer Xie. Hua Chong had never gone to work or worked. Even after he died, he was still on the road of devouring ghosts and harming people, so at this time, the unprecedented treatment became interested in Xie Tingzhou, and he thought of Yu Xiao. The female ghost who had already formed a ghost domain had avoided the other party's ghost domain before coming here. She obviously hated humans so much before she died, but she still had to work for humans after death. What was this idea? Welcome at any time. Xie Tingzhou did not object. If a powerful ghost like Hua Chong could be recruited, he would definitely have a lot of fighting power in the future, but the other party might just say it. Sure enough, when Hua Chong heard Xie Tingzhou's indifferent agreement, he suddenly smiled again, with a pretty face that seemed to be in a good mood. I just want to talk casually. I don't have time to come here as an errand boy. Officer Xie, thank you for the elixir. If we catch a ghost next time, we will send it to Officer Xie for help. After all, human yang qi it doesn't taste good either. Tell Officer Xie something before I leave. This is in return for Officer Xie giving me this elixir. As Hua Chong spoke, his eyes had all turned blood red at this time. There was no longer the enchantment before, only terror and penetration. Officer Xie, I'm happy to see you today, but good people like Officer Xie are not the only people in this world. Unfortunately, when I was alive, I met evil people who were ruthless, and I never met a good person like Officer Xie. Everyone says that evil ghosts talk nonsense and eat the flesh of human beings, but this living person is more cruel than evil ghosts. We must avenge any grudges and eliminate any grudges, but some people have no grudges. If you complain, you will take someone else's heart. As he spoke, his figure gradually faded away. Xie Tingzhou just watched him disappear without saying anything. He also thought of a certain existence. Unexpectedly, the other party had already started to take action at this time. At the same time, a shocking case occurred in Lonjiahua Villa in Shangjing City. The Shangjing police station received a report. The captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade and his team members hurried to Lonjiahua Villa to handle the case. Long Liun was also one of them. After Guo Ran was transferred to the anti-pornography department, Long Liun was transferred to the Criminal Investigation Brigade. This time, I went to the police with my new master. In the past year or so, I have seen a lot of strange cases. I have become accustomed to cases of ghosts killing families and other horrific cases. I heard from the new master that it was difficult to investigate serial murder cases in the past. After all, the murderers are usually able to form serial murder cases and have strong anti-investigation capabilities. But it is different now. Now there are ghosts after people die. As long as by calling the ghost for questioning through the requiem, the case can be easily solved. In addition, after everyone knows about the existence of ghosts and gods, there have been a lot fewer criminal cases between humans. Most of them are grievances between ghosts and humans. After the police investigate the situation of humans, they will then investigate the ghosts. In this situation, if someone wants to take revenge, then they can't do anything about it. After all, people harm others before ghosts appear, so everyone is used to it now. As long as you don't harm others, nothing will happen. If you kill someone, and they turn into ghosts and come to kill your whole family, just accept it. This time the police hurriedly arrived at Longio Lake and saw several family members of the victims who were too frightened to speak clearly. Then they went upstairs to the crime scene on the third floor. This was a large bedroom with writing written on the floor in the victim's blood. "Is my heart working? Good man, he has a golden finger." Author, Jonghu Buletin. Chapter 267. The bedroom, which should have been extremely luxurious, was extremely horrifying at this time. There were dark red bloodstains everywhere on the walls and the ground. This sentence was even more shocking, making people who saw it feel scared. The captain of the criminal investigation team who came to handle this case this time was named Zhang Biao. He was also stunned when he saw the situation at the scene. I don't know what he thought of, and his face was ugly. "Put on your clothes, protect the scene, take pictures, and record," Zhang Biao explained, and then several policemen began to change clothes. After a while, everyone changed into white coats to protect the scene. Everyone wore disposable disinfected gloves on their hands to prevent themselves from leaving traces at the scene. Zhang Biao also entered the scene with disposable foot covers on his feet. His expression was serious. Following him were Long Liun and a forensic doctor. They were all covered from beginning to end. After entering the room, they walked to the bedside and saw the deceased lying on the bed. The deceased's hair was a lot whiter, and he looked to be over 60 years old. He was lying there with a big hole in his chest, which was completely hollowed out, as if a hand had reached in and dug out his heart alive. The hole was uneven and looked very scary. Blood spread from the bottom of the body into the bed. Everything was challenging everyone's police. Even though he had been to the scene many times, Long Liun, who saw the scene for the first time, was stunned for a moment. He didn't feel disgusted, but when he met the extremely frightened eyes of the deceased, he always had a strange feeling. This feeling, it was as if the other party died in extreme fear, and the fear in his eyes was even more than the pain, as if he had seen something extremely terrifying. "Protect the scene, forensic examination, Liun, come with me to check the situation in this room," Zhang Biao said, asking the forensic doctor to check the situation of the deceased first, and then transfer the deceased to the police station, and then took Long Liun to check the entire room. There was no murder weapon in this room, and there were no extra people. Then Zhang Biao also saw the camera installed in this bedroom. He didn't expect someone to install a camera in the bedroom. It seems that this case is not an ordinary case. There are surveillance cameras, how can we not find the murderer? After the forensic examination, Zhang Biao carefully took out the yin-yang talisman arranged above, found an apprentice to come, and used the yin-yang talisman. Now, whenever there is such a scene of death, the yin-yang talisman must be used to see if the deceased is still there. After all, blood must be used every time, and the blood of their police officers is not available whenever they want, so the whole team takes turns, one time for each person, otherwise they will be the victim every time. The young policeman was quite excited. It was the first time to use the yin-yang talisman, so after dripping blood, he activated the yin-yang talisman, quickly looked around, and then shook his head to prove that there was no soul of the deceased here. After that, He walked back and forth in the whole villa, and after inspecting every room, he still did not find the soul of the deceased. Captain, no. This situation made Zhang Biao look even more serious. After all, only ghosts committed crimes, and the ghosts of the deceased would not appear at the scene, so this case might involve some evil ghosts. When the evil ghosts take revenge, the police cannot intervene. The National Metaphysics Special Team once issued a directive, saying that once it is found that the ghosts have grievances and revenges, humans must not interfere with the ghosts' revenge, otherwise they will anger the ghosts and make them crazy, and then the people who die will not be those people. Therefore, everyone has also discovered that most ghosts commit crimes because they really have grudges in their lives. You killed them first, and then they came to take revenge. There are also some people who don't believe in evil, and they want to find some masters and some Taoist priests to exorcise ghosts. In the end, the police still have to collect the bodies of some masters and Taoist priests, and no one dares to say anything more. After a while, the body was transported away, and another interrogating police came over. This criminal police had already questioned the family of the deceased and made a record. I have already asked the family of the deceased. It was in the morning that the nanny found the bloodstains on the ground and the person on the bed. When she saw it, she fainted directly. Then the son of the deceased saw the words on the ground and felt that it was not good, so he didn't dare to go in, so he called the police directly. The criminal police said, and then added. The family members of the deceased were frightened and became mentally ill. After finally settling down, they kept saying that this must be the revenge of evil ghosts. I asked about this and learned that the deceased had heart problems in the early years and had undergone a heart transplant 3 years ago. I am afraid that this case is not a human revenge, but a revenge of evil ghosts. Speaking of this, the criminal police also sighed. After all, in the past year, they have seen many cases of evil ghosts seeking revenge. Most of them are those who died very miserably and become evil ghosts. Evil ghosts with the ability to kill people have suffered great pain before their death. Ordinary people become ghosts and disappear in 7 days, but evil ghosts can kill people in 7 days. This is the difference between the two. Even though they should take the lead in protecting people as human beings, and they should also feel that everything needs to be punished by law, but how to deal with such things as ghost revenge? They have no way at all. Just like what the legendary Master Xie said, the so-called people turning into ghosts and ghosts killing people are just a cycle of cause and effect, and there is a cause before there is an effect. Some people become ghosts and their obsessions are not dispersed in order to protect their loved ones. Some people become ghosts because they are still obsessed with killing those who bully them. These two obsessions are the same, there is only a difference in strength. Heart transplant surgery. Zhang Biao immediately thought of the words on the ground. Is my heart useful? Since the maturity of medical care in our country, various surgical transplants have been very powerful. From the heart, liver, lungs to various parts of the human body, in a sense, they can be replaced, but they need to wait for the donor, and this donor also has requirements. Generally speaking, most of the operations like this kind of live replacement of parts can be done between relatives, but this also excludes special parts such as the heart. The heart is a must-have thing in a person, so if a person needs a transplant, it can only be donated by another dying person. This kind of donor surgery with extremely high requirements can actually be done very rarely in our country. It can be said that even ordinary kidneys and the like, waiting for the donor is a very long time, and it may not be possible to wait, plus matching and various things. Anyway, it is not as simple as you think. This heart transplant surgery seems to need a good investigation. Have you asked the hospital where the surgery was performed? There are also doctors and donors, and follow-up investigations are needed. Zhang Biao asked, and the criminal police nodded immediately. I have already asked. It is the Renai Hospital in Shangjing City. The donor should be a young man. It seems that he was in a car accident and could not be saved. However, a detailed investigation is needed. I see that Chen Wulong's face is not very good. There may be a source. If it is the revenge of the evil spirit, the source of this heart may be problematic. There are too many dark sides in this world, so many that people can't see them all, so some people go along with the flow, some people choose to close their eyes, and some people who face the darkness are either afraid or want to completely break through the darkness and dig out the rotten meat inside for everyone to see. Zhang Biao has already understood what his apprentice meant. If it was before, such a case would probably end up without a beginning or an end, but it is different now. The revenge of the evil spirit, who can stop it? Long Liun was in a bad mood after hearing the result of this speculation. The more he looked at this prosperous villa, he realized that if this matter was the revenge of the evil spirit, it might be that money can make the gods. This case might have been a case of harming people from the beginning. The victim became a ghost and came back for revenge. But the police knew nothing about it, and couldn't even do anything to help the former victims. Just when several policemen felt uncomfortable about the nature of this case, the young policeman next to them suddenly turned pale and pointed to a location. "Master! Master! There is a ghost! There is a ghost!" Everyone looked at the place where the young policeman pointed, and saw that the ballpoint pen was picked up from the place where the police's paper and pen were originally placed, and then began to write slowly on it. They couldn't see who was holding the pen, but the young policeman was already scared and pale. Soon, the ballpoint pen was put down again. Zhang Biao was not afraid. He walked over directly, picked up the notebook, and saw the words on the notebook. "Officer, I want to take back everything I have." Seeing this, Zhang Biao turned his head and looked at the young policeman. "What did you see just now?" he asked, and the pale-faced policeman immediately answered with a trembling voice. "I saw a hand, only one hand, and that hand picked up a pen and started writing. It was a young man's hand, and it looked like he was definitely no more than 20 years old. If you see a complete ghost, it doesn't seem so scary, but seeing such a broken thing, people will always be a little scared." Zhang Biao patted the policeman on the shoulder and said, "Drink the talisman paper and take a rest. As long as you drink the talisman paper with water, you won't see ghosts anymore." The young policeman nodded, no longer excited as before, and now he was scared enough. Long Liun also saw the words on it. Now he is really sure that it is a revenge of a fierce ghost, and it is an extraordinary fierce ghost. "Master, do you want to go to the hospital to check this case? After all, the person whose heart was taken away before may also be a victim. Now that people come to seek revenge, their police may not be able to help much, but at least they can break some dark industrial chains. It is almost impossible for people to win when fighting ghosts." Yes, Zhang Biao nodded. Everyone had already investigated and understood the situation at the scene. They planned to check the surveillance video of the deceased. As a result, the deceased's son rushed over and grabbed Zhang Biao's arm. "Police comrade, please don't leave. Please save us. Please save us. If you leave, we will all die." Zhang Biao was stunned for a moment. "We will all die." Chen Wulong was crying with snot and tears on his face at this time. He didn't care and said directly, "Police comrade, I admit that we harmed people, but the evil ghost wants to kill our whole family. Please save us. We know we are wrong." Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhang Buletin Jian. Chapter 268. What, this is actually not the first time Zhang Biao has seen this. Generally, evil ghosts have revenge and grievances, but there are also those who have great grievances, and there are also those who directly kill people. Even the police, there is no way. Hearing the man's confession at this time, Zhang Biao actually knew in his heart what the crime he was talking about was. Thinking about the hollowed out heart of the deceased and the fonts written on the ground, the result was self-evident. After all, why are you so lucky? People can't wait for various donors, but you, a rich man, suddenly get one? This is simply understandable. The most critical reason why the country has issued various laws, and why there is no news about these organ transplants in many news reports, is that it is afraid that too many people will know about it, and then violate the law. Comrade police, actually we all heard the ghost talking last night. The ghost said that my father was just the first one, and that everyone in our family would die next. It said that everyone in our family participated in taking him away. Life, so he won't let us go. This matter has something to do with me, but it has nothing to do with my wife and children. Please, officer, let that ghost let go of our family, okay? Okay. We are willing to compensate him, A grown man was crying in a state of utter embarrassment, but if you knew what he had done and could still sympathize with him, that would be really amazing. Ordinary people should not sympathize with criminals, even if the criminal is very pitiful. Of course, ordinary people cannot empathize with capital, because they are exploiting ordinary people. Tell me about the situation. Your father's heart has been ripped out by a ghost. It has already happened. Our police can only investigate the truth of the matter. As for whether we can save your life, it depends on what you did. Is it worth saving? Otherwise, it would be like a ghost seeking his life, and many families would be wiped out. Even if we are the police, we can't control the revenge of ghosts. The yin-yang talisman and the requiem talisman currently in the hands of the police can, in a sense, help ghosts redress their grievances and prevent these ghosts from harming humans. If you want to fight other ghosts, are you kidding me? Believe it or not, they destroyed your entire police station in a matter of minutes. The National Metaphysics Special Group specifically explained above that ordinary ghosts have a certain degree of trust in the police, so they can be dissuaded, but if they are serious ghosts and evil ghosts, the best way is to remain silent. Such ghosts are generally lost. Be rational. If you don't succeed in revenge, you will definitely anger other people, and more people will die by then. If you encounter a powerful ghost, it will usually be reported to the National Metaphysics Special Group. At that time, a professional ghost force will come to deal with the matter. Zhang Biao alone knows that his former master and several brothers he knew who died have died. They have all become the Ghost Detective Brigade, specifically targeting those evil spirits. But not all evil ghosts can be caught. Some evil ghosts are caught killing innocent people indiscriminately, but some evil ghosts have legitimate reasons for revenge. It is not appropriate for you to arrest them, you kill them first. If you kill someone, they come to take revenge. If other ghosts help capture someone, then the law of heaven will not tolerate it. The man cried even harder, but still cried. My dad's heart was not very good when he was in his 50s. He suffered from various diseases. Then 3 years ago, his heart suddenly became a little bad. After we were sent to Rena Hospital, the doctor informed that my dad had this condition. In this situation, if the heart is not replaced, he will definitely die. When my dad woke up, he naturally didn't want to die, so I tried to find a way and asked the hospital for a donor. But as you know, this kind of donor is a perfect match. And there are very few hearts that can be used. Where can I find one? But my dad is waiting for this heart to save his life, so I went to see Jing Quanshui, the chief of the cardiovascular surgery department at Rena Hospital. Speaking of this, Chen Wulong's face was full of regret. If he knew that people would turn into ghosts to seek revenge after death, he would never be willing to do such a thing. He felt that his family had suffered an unreasonable disaster. Jing Quanshui told me that my father's heart can be replaced, and a donor can be found, but the price is very expensive, so I asked how much it cost. He said that people are old and their hearts are no longer working. If they need to find a donor, people also exchange one for one, and when the person dies and cannot be resurrected, they will also have to compensate their families, so it costs 10 million. My family is still rich, and 10 million is nothing. At that time, I was carried away by such words. I asked Jing Qinshui to help me find a donor and arrange surgery for my dad as soon as possible, so I gave the money. After finishing speaking, Chen Wulong still looked collapsed. Comrade police, we really don't know that this heart was obtained by the other party who harmed him. If we knew, we would definitely not use it. Comrade police, believe me, what I say is true. He cried, as if he was sincerely guilty for not knowing, but in Zhang Baiao's eyes, it was very ironic. You don't know that this donor is a victim? Do you think this heart fell from the sky? Just say it. Our country's regulations state that a heart transplant must be provided by a person who is about to die. This doctor, I told you in advance that there was a heart suitable for your father, but you didn't ask who he was. What was his condition and age? You just bought it with just one sentence. What these $10 million buy is not just the heart, it is a person's life. It would be strange to say that Chen Wulong in front of him knew nothing. He was just pretending not to know, so that he could accept it all with peace of mind. Comrade police, I really don't know. I just heard that the man was in a car accident and was about to die, so he donated his heart. I don't know anything else. Chen Wulong's face turned pale, and he frantically defended himself without thinking too much about the ins and outs of this matter. But in this way, his tears seemed to turn into crocodile tears in an instant, making people look hypocritical and disgusting. Long Liuyun looked at this man and said, "So that Jing Qinshui here just accepted you 10 million, and a guy over there got into a car accident, just in time to donate a heart to your father. I don't believe it. You didn't think about anything. I have seen many cases. Human life is the most precious thing and the least precious thing. At certain times, everything on a person's body is marked with the most expensive price, but at certain times, tens of thousands of dollars seems to be enough to kill a person's life. I don't know, officer, I really don't know. If I knew, I would never let my dad use a heart like this. I didn't harm anyone, Chen Wulong now overturned his statement that he knew all this, and described himself as being like the White Lotus who was bullied. He also added, I heard from people at the hospital that the man died in a car accident. He was hit by a van and almost died on the spot. Then when the doctor was rescuing him, he said that the chance of being rescued was very low, so he asked the man's family. I asked if I was willing to donate, and the hospital gave me the money at that time. Later, the driver was also imprisoned. So, police comrades, we really didn't expect so much. Who would have thought that this pursuit of revenge would come to my house? None of the detectives present wanted to see this hypocritical Mr. Crocodile. Is it normal to hear such a coincidence together? This person still said with a serious face that he was fine. Maybe this person should have lived well, but with Chen Wulong's 10 million in front of him, this person had to have a car accident and sign a donor agreement. Isn't this easy to get? Yes, this is really a huge coincidence, but it is useless for Mr. Chen to cry with me here. We police are willing to believe whatever people say, whether it is true or a lie, but Mr. Evil Ghost will not listen. Chen sir, can you shed tears to reason with the evil spirit, and explain how this is a coincidence, and how Mr. Chen's spending of 10 million was just an unintentional mistake? Zhang Baiao has a sense of irony, and once again witnessed the crimes committed by greedy humans, and the most important thing is that the so-called Chen family in front of him may be just a part of it. He always has an unknown premonition, just like the previous one, like a pornographic ghost. I'm afraid that all this will turn into a chain reaction, and who will be innocent by then? Is the doctor who performed the surgery innocent? Or is the person who received the victim's organs innocent? Everyone seems to be an indispensable link in this biological chain. If there is no buying and selling, there will be no killing. At this moment, Zhang Baiao already knows in his heart that this case is not something that they can't stop as humans. even if it is a special national metaphysics people from the group are here, and I'm afraid there's nothing they can do. Official internal information has previously summarized all kinds of information about evil spirits. Among them, the most frightening thing is that the evil ghosts who suffered so much during their lives and were dismembered basically become no longer evil ghosts after they die, but become evil ghosts directly. Now Mr. Chen had his heart ripped out 3 years after the operation. It seems that it was because the ghosts were dismembered before, so they were as confused as Guanyin Bodhisattva, the mother of ghosts. It was only now that they had the chance to wake up and take revenge. In the face of such a vicious ghost, who can stop him? Just like the Yangui Bodhisattva last time, as humans, they are simply unable to resist such a powerful ghost. Even the legendary Mr. What about the ghosts of various organs? How crazy should they be? Chen Wulong really collapsed. At this moment, everyone was going crazy, pulling Zhang Baiao's arm and crying. "Comrade police, do you believe me? I really don't know all this. We don't know that the doctor can kill people. If we had known earlier, I would never have given money. We didn't know what the doctor would do in order to make money take other people's lives." He was crying, really broken down, but Zhang Baiao had no expression on his face. He looked at the person in front of him, extremely calm. "You really don't know?" he asked, then pulled Chen Wulong's hand away. "Do you really not know that 10 million can buy a life?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 269. Since ancient times, among the lessons of history, there has always been a saying that businessmen harm the country, which refers to the consequences that will occur if businessmen are allowed to govern the country. In the past, scholars, farmers, merchants, and merchants were at the bottom, but in the new era and new modern society, businessmen have become a sought-after existence. Worshipping money is the motto of many people. They long for success and the intertwining of money and power. Little do they know that the money accumulated in the hands of businessmen is the result of the accumulation of blood and sweat of ordinary people. Does Chen Wulong in front of him really not know where the heart he replaced for his father came from? Why did things just happen to be such a coincidence? I just gave 10 million to the hospital, and there was a young man over there who had a car accident. He just couldn't get treatment and donated a heart to Chen Wulong's father? There is a saying in criminal investigation that excessive coincidences linked together form a carefully designed trap. Chen Wulong may know what effect his 10 million will have, but he doesn't ask and pretends not to know. It seems that only in this way will he feel better. He thinks that he has paid for it. As long as he doesn't ask anything and doesn't know anything about it, just like an innocent person. As a businessman, how could he not know that when the profit reaches more than 200%, people will give up anything for this profit? Chen Wulong burst into tears when Zhang Baiao waved his hand away. This middle-aged man was facing collapse at this time. He knew that no matter how much money he had, he could not save his life, so he could only admit it with tears. "Comrade police, yes. I know. I also heard from others that Jing Quanshui, the section chief of the cardiovascular surgery department of Rena Hospital, has a way to get donors. As long as he has money, he can definitely replace them, so I took 10 million to save my dad. I really don't know what he did. I just gave him the money. The person who seeks wealth and death is Jing Quanshui. Why didn't this evil ghost go to Jing Quanshui? You want to take revenge on my family? My son is only 8 years old. Police comrade, please, please save my son." This man, who only had a son in his middle age, was kneeling on the ground and crying and begging for his son. But other police officers had seen this too much. Anyone whose family is avenged by ghosts will end up like this. They were talking about why the evil spirits would implicate other people, etc., but they never thought that when they harmed people, they killed someone and the impact it might have on their family. When they protected these criminals, they didn't think about it. What a righteous thing to say. Is it Jinquan Shui who seeks wealth and kills? Zhang Biao only felt ridiculed. He shook his head and looked at the man kneeling in front of him and hugging his thigh. If you didn't buy this heart, do you think Jinquan Shui would take action? Your 10 million allowed Jinquan Shui to equate a human life with money, and which parent was the son of the dead child? And again? That wife's husband? Why didn't you ask someone when you wanted such a young heart? All this is so clear. Zhang Biao knows that even if the police can investigate the truth of the matter, they will be powerless. Li Gui's revenge will not stop because of this. Moreover, such a terrible industrial chain is actually going on under their noses. It has not exploded before because the people who have benefited are either rich or noble. But no matter how powerful or wealthy you are in the world, you can deal with it. Got a bad ghost? Let's go and check the surveillance camera. Where is the surveillance camera in the deceased's room? Zhang Biao pulled out his legs and took his apprentice to see the surveillance camera. After that, he went to a room specially designed to watch the surveillance camera. After asking the servants on the side, he found out that the reason why the surveillance camera was installed in the old man's room was because the old man had changed the surveillance camera. After the heart attack, his health has not been good, and he has been ill in bed for almost a long time. In order to prevent servants from abusing the old man, a surveillance camera was installed in the old man's room, so that other young people in the family could see the old man when they wanted to, or I was talking to the old man through surveillance. Where's last night's surveillance? Bring it up and let's take a look. As Zhang Biao said, the servant guarding the surveillance turned pale and said a little embarrassedly, "Comrade police, can you see it for yourselves?" To be honest, I was checking the surveillance camera last night, but for some reason I fell asleep. When I came to my senses, the old man was even after he died, no one came to see the surveillance camera, and I didn't dare to look back. After hearing that it was Li Gui's revenge, who would dare to look at it? I was already planning to resign, and I didn't dare to look back. The servant is just an ordinary person, so naturally he doesn't want to see any ghosts. Although the public has now accepted that there are ghosts in the world, many people are still afraid of them. This is normal. Okay, tell me where this hard drive is, and we'll take a look ourselves. The policeman on the side nodded, and after the servant's explanation, he found the surveillance camera of the old man's room last night. The servant hurried out, and only the people from the criminal police team were left in the room. Everyone looked at the surveillance camera in front of them with serious expressions. After turning it on, they found that the surveillance camera should be the highest definition one, and everything could be seen very clearly. Everything was quiet from 10 o'clock in the evening, and the old man was sleeping peacefully. Then they fast-forwarded, and everything was fine from 10 to 12 o'clock. But at the moment after 12 o'clock, the old man was seen. The quilt on his body was thrown out of thin air, as if someone had picked up the quilt. Then everyone saw the old man wake up from the cold. After he opened his eyes suddenly widened. This was an obvious look of shock, but in the camera, no one could see it, because ghosts could not see it through any high-tech record. The old man was so scared that he was shaking all over, his face was not good, and he was panting wildly, but the next scene that everyone saw was simply horrifying. Because when the old man was panting wildly, a hand with only a forearm appeared in the camera. This was intentional by the ghost. Intentionally let them see it all. The forearm was so white and scary, and the blue veins on it made people shudder. The key was that the nail on it suddenly swelled about 10 centimeters, and the black nail just stayed at the position of the old man's heart. Then everyone saw that the nail pierced through the pajamas on the old man's chest and pierced into the old man's heart. The following scenes were simply challenging everyone's limits. After the hand dug open the old man's chest, the old man did not die. He actually took out a heart from the other's chest alive, and the heart was even beating in his hand. It was very strange. This video should have no sound, but the next moment, they all heard a young voice speaking. "I want to take my heart." His voice was like rusty iron, which made people feel irritated and sweaty. The old man was still alive, but at this time he kept breathing like a broken bellows, maintaining a very frightened look, and slowly entered death. After watching the whole video, all the people in the criminal investigation detachment were silent. The whole monitoring room was silent. After a long time, Long Liun said, "Master, this is already a fierce ghost. We can't deal with it. It's best to find someone from the Special Department of National Metaphysics to deal with it. Besides, this kind of fierce ghost that died without a complete body may have a source. If the resentment is not resolved, it may cost many lives. If the bad guys really died because of the evil deeds they had committed, the police would not say anything, but if ordinary people died because of their evil deeds, the police would not accept it. Nowadays, ghosts are rampant. Although everyone still does things according to the current laws, it is true that there is leniency outside the law, and it is also true that fierce ghosts are crazy. What everyone can do now is to ensure that ordinary people will not die under the influence of fierce ghosts within a certain range, and the evil people can only pay the price for their actions. You say you are not a bad person? If these people did not kill ordinary people and turn them into fierce ghosts, how could they seek revenge on you? Well, notify the metaphysics department. Xiaozheng, call them and ask for help. We need to go to Ren'ai Hospital. It looks like this ghost was in great pain. Not only was his heart taken away, but other things were also lost. The more painful this kind of ghost who died unjustly was in life, the more evil it would be after death. It is already very powerful to be able to kill people directly like this. Well, Xiao Zheng hurried to notify the metaphysics department, while Zhang Biao left people to protect the scene and the Chen family, and then went to the hospital. The police car arrived at Ren'ai Hospital quickly. After issuing relevant certificates, they were going to go directly to the so-called head of cardiovascular surgery, Jing Quanshui. Head Jin is on vacation today and didn't come. It is estimated that he will not be able to go to work until tomorrow. Does the police comrade have something to do with him? Or should I call him? The vice president of the hospital was also shocked when he saw the police coming, and hurried over to hand over to these policemen. Not for now, Vice President Wang, we are here to investigate a donor transplant case. I want to ask, where are the files of your organ transplant department 3 years ago? The police need to investigate. Your hospital still has records of the heart donor that was transplanted to the famous philanthropist Chen Yuhei, right? Zhang Biao was very straightforward. Vice President Wang was stunned for a moment, but still smiled and said hurriedly, "Yes, of course, Officer Zhang, please follow me." When Vice President Wang said this, Long Liun next to him didn't know why he felt that there was something indescribable today, the kind of cold feeling in the air, so instinct made Long Liun directly press the emergency contact number for Xietingzhou. Xietingzhou, who was in the police station, saw this news and located the location as Ren'ai Hospital, and immediately rushed over. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 270. In Ren'ai Hospital, Vice President Wang has brought Zhang Biao and other criminal police officers to the donor information room. This place is relatively private. In addition to information on the internet, there is also a database in reality, which stores written records. This is the habit of Ren'ai Hospital. After a lot of information was digitized, this habit has been preserved. This is the database, which stores all the donor information. Of course, this information includes the donation agreement, which is the written document agreeing to donate the donor. It has the signatures of family members or myself. It's a little easier to find it. For some, just look for them by age. Deputy Director Wang said, after turning on the light in the database. It was obviously a clean incandescent light, but it gave people an indescribable dark feeling, which made people feel inexplicably depressed. The weather outside is actually getting hot now, but in such a database, it is cold. Zhang Biao looked serious, and several police officers were unsure, but as criminal police officers, they had seen too many. Even if it's a scary scene, I won't be scared because of it, I just think it's evil. But most of those who can be policemen are upright. Just by relying on this uprightness, there will be no ghosts to harass and harm. It can be said that some policemen can be leaders, but some leaders are not. You can't be a police officer, that's why. The police have persistence and ideas that others cannot understand. They keep chasing for a certain purpose and even pay any price for it. The same goes for criminal police officers. In order to get to the bottom of a case, they need to remain calm at all times. Only those like them who master the truth can give justice to the deceased and to the family members of the deceased. Okay, let's look for it, but isn't there any administrator here? Why does it look empty? Zhang Biao asked, and Vice President Wang also had a helpless expression on his face. This place is locked, and it's also a password lock. It's usually a place where hospital information is stored. The hospital's information is not worth much, and it's not a file that can be used for a paper. Naturally, no one is guarding it. Well, generally speaking, when the hospital needs to store information every month, it just opens the database and puts the things in, and then locks it, so there is no need for anyone to look at it. He explained, and other police officers also expressed their understanding. After all, the things here are not as important as the police station's archives. Donor donation information like this seems to be of little use to ordinary people. Well, let's search for it. 3 years ago, it should be 2056. I remember that Chen Yuhei's operation time should be in spring, April. Let's search one by one. Just look for the information in April 2056, and look at the signature signed at that time. Just the documentation of the body donation agreement. After narrowing down the scope, it will naturally be faster to find it. Then I'll come over here. This archive is very large, with a row of information. In the end, every policeman stood in one of the rows and started searching. Some found the information from 2040, some found the information from 2030, and some found the information from 2050. I looked up the information along with the date, and found that the more recent the year, the more frightening the information was. Just for this Rena hospital, the donor donation agreement was more than 10 times that of the previous years. Long Liun came to the shelf in 2050. When she looked at it, she saw a whole row of donor agreements for 2050. Just the donation agreements for this year were so endless that she couldn't see the end at a glance. She leaned over and looked at them. Its time marked above. The January 2050 donor donation agreement, from marked document 1 to marked document 1800, was all so ridiculous that Long Liun lost his voice instantly. In 1 month in 2050, your Rena hospital will have 1,800 donor agreements. 1,800 people will donate their bodies here. This is simply a terrifying statistic. Long Liun has never paid attention to the issue of organ transplantation before, because according to the process that normal people understand, most so-called organ transplants are more inclined to be between relatives, and the law is also clear. It is stipulated that some special organs can only be operated on between relatives. Most of the reasons are because relatives are less likely to reject each other, but these so-called donor donation agreements seem creepy. Did they donate their bodies willingly, or were they forced to donate their bodies because someone needed something from their bodies? Yes, police officer, People's consciousness is very advanced these days. Some young people have signed organ donation agreements early. In fact, the numbers you see are not all young people who died as you think. There are some things donated by the elderly. There is also a particularly pitiful child. He is only 7 years old. He has cancer and cannot be saved. So his father decided to donate his cornea. This should also be written in the document. It is said that only large organ donations will be recorded, but our hospital only performs cornea transplants at least 20 to 30 times a month. Vice President Wang came here at some unknown time and was talking next to Long Liun. He seemed to be smiling, but Long Liun felt a trace of ridicule for some reason, and in such a strong incandescence under the lamp, Long Liun always felt that Vice President Wang's face was a little too pale. Oh, I know. Long Liun then randomly picked up a piece of information, and when he opened it, he found that it said about bone marrow transplantation between relatives, and then he understood why there were so many pieces of information. It turns out that in addition to large-scale donations, there are also living donations between relatives, which are also included. It seems normal for a hospital as big as Rena Hospital to have so much information on donor donation. After all, living donation is also needed. Sign the agreement. Others also came to the shelves next to Long Liun. Everyone was a sharp-sighted person and quickly found the information for April 2056. The donor donation information for this month also remained unchanged since 2800. There are more people around than 5 years ago, but it is normal. As many wealthy people get older, they will naturally want to change themselves. Here should be all the information from April 2056. Everyone, hurry up and look for the information about Chen Yuhei's heart surgery. If you find it, report it directly. There are more than 2,800 pieces of information, and 5 police officers are looking for it. It sounds fast, but it also takes time to find it. While the 5 policemen in the room were frantically searching for information on the heart transplant surgery that year, Xieting Zhou had already arrived at Rena Hospital. When he got out of the car and looked at the hospital, he frowned. After that, he walked in, and a nurse wearing a pink nurse uniform walked over. There was a suitable smile on her beautiful face, and she looked at Xieting Zhou and said, "Can I help you, Mr. Xie?" She revealed Xieting Zhou's identity very straightforwardly. Xieting Zhou just looked at her but did not make a move and said calmly, "Where are the police who came before? I want to go find them." When the nurse heard this, her eyes started to move rapidly. Yes, it was really fast. It was the kind of eyeballs that rotated 360 degrees in the eyes. It was as scary as if you were in a horror movie theater. "Okay, Mr. Xie, please come with me." Her eyes stopped moving, and then she spoke to Xieting Zhou again with a gentle smile. Then she walked in front, followed by Xieting Zhou, who had no idea about the nurse. There are so many ghosts these days. It would be really boring if Xieting Zhou had to take action against any of them. Besides, this ghost is here because he has a good background. It's boring to beat the old ones here, so it's better to just go and see if the other party is the existence he thought of. Then the nurse took Xieting Zhou to the database. The door of the database was closed, and the nurse stood at the door. She turned around. It's like really turning your whole head around. Those criminal police officers are inside. "Don't worry, Mr. Xie, we will not harm ordinary people. We are just seeking justice and getting our bodies back." As she said this, Xieting Zhou saw the dark eyes of this man and the blood and tears flowing out of them. With a helpless sigh, Xieting Zhou took out a handkerchief and wiped the blood and tears of the other party. Then he looked at the other party's body and turned back without realizing it before handing the handkerchief over. "I know, take it, don't cry, it will hurt even if you don't have eyes." The female ghost took the handkerchief and got out of the way, and Xieting Zhou pushed the door open and entered. It's just that the detectives who were busy inside couldn't hear the sound. They were still studying the information. Soon, one of them really found the information. "This is it. Master, I found it." Xiao Zhang spoke excitedly, and then couldn't help but read out the information inside. The name of this donor is Cai Shija. The time of death was April 18, 2056. He was sent to the hospital in a car accident and rescue efforts failed. The contract signed by his parents during the rescue was clearly written on it. Zhang Biao heard this and asked, "How old are you?" Thinking about the hand in the camera, he couldn't be more than 20 years old. 19 years old. As soon as this age came out, the 5 policemen present were silent, because how could people not feel sad that such a flower-like age has withered away? As a result, a voice was suddenly heard over there. "Captain Zhang, I also found some information. Do you want to listen to it?" The sudden sound came across several shelves, making everyone startled, but Long Liun immediately became excited. "It's Xieting Zhou." As soon as the name came out, Zhang Biao immediately understood the power of the other party and hurriedly said, "Listen." Xieting Zhou over there read out a new data. On June 15, 2058, the donor's name was Wang Xiao. He was 57 years old. He suffered a stroke and failed to rescue him at work. He signed a donor agreement before he died. Following Xieting Zhou's voice, all the policemen fell silent because when they heard the name, it was none other than Wang Xiao, the vice president of Rena Hospital. But since Wang Xiao is dead, who was the one who spoke to them just now?